Thank you so much, Mikhail, for talking to Times Network.
Yes.
Just want to understand from you that here in Future Investment Initiative Summit, we are talking a lot about AI and deep tech and all. So, how medicine is getting integrated with tech?
Yeah, so we started Generate 8 years ago with the fundamental premise that we could understand the code of life in terms of DNA and how that translates into biological function.
Okay.
Over the past 8 years, we've seen huge strides with both, the ability to understand biology, the ability to measure biology, the advanced computing power that allows us to process biology at a pace and a scale that was previously unimaginable. And so as we go forward, we think there's going to be a new wave of therapeutic innovation that's largely fueled by these sort of technologies.
Okay, so how big is the market and at what CAGR rate it's growing?
Well, the overall pharmaceutical and therapeutics market is about $1 trillion market. And so the opportunity to find major innovations in that space is enormous. And we're seeing, obviously, the cost of healthcare grow rapidly in every part of the world. And so the better we can come up with great therapeutic alternatives, obviously, the more we can offset those healthcare growth expenditures in other parts of the segment.
Okay, so it's limited to USA also, or you're expanding to?
No, totally global interface. Our first large-scale trial is happening in 100 countries. We're looking at 300 different sites in those countries. India is one of those, domains.
Okay.
And so our goal is ultimately to democratize the availability of protein-based biotherapeutics.
Okay, so you spoke about India also. So in India, how big is your plans, and for you, how big is Indian market?
Well, I think if you just step back and you think about, where does the burden of disease exist in the world? India has one of the greatest populations, and obviously, therefore, by kind of extension, a huge burden of disease. And so, if we can come up with novel therapeutics that address some of the major unmet medical needs, like metabolic disease in India, obviously, it's a huge opportunity for a company like ours. And so, for us, taking into account the needs of the local Indian population, taking into account the underlying burden of disease, and then thinking about how we can use this technology to come up with better medicines to treat those diseases.
Okay, so in India's context, it's a cost effective also. So large population of India can afford it.
That is the goal of the technology. In many ways, what we're seeing in the early days is our ability to get to better drugs faster and cheaper than historical processes. And so with that, it gives you an opportunity to think differently about the business model of therapeutics.
Okay, thank you so much for talking to Times Network. Pleasure talking to you.
Pleasure talking to you as well. Cheers.